I'm here today. I'm here, cool. All the way up. No. Stairs. Okay. So, what is there something happening soon that's kind of enjoyable? Christmas. Or so one of the things we do for Christmas is to remember why Jesus isn't. I mean, Christmas is nothing without Jesus, right? Yeah, we have to have Jesus. So we have our what we call an Advent read, which helps for weeks until Christmas comes. Okay? So this is week number 1. Yes, of course. So we're going to light one candle, and we name each candle. So the candle for today called the candle of light, because Jesus was the light of the world. Remember that? Yeah, Jesus was the light of the world. So, what does the light do? Yeah, so you can see, yeah. It pushes back the darkness, right? Yeah, so the darkness is gone, the light is there. So that's what Jesus came for, was to be the light of the world. So we're going to light the first candle. I can get the little thingy to work, right? There. We light the first candle, which is the candle of light. Well, maybe we'll light it. There we go. Yay! So we have 4 weeks until Christmas, right? So this is the first week. Candle of light. So that's it. It's fun, don't you? Scared. I know it's more fun to jump on. Well, I hope you all had a good Thanksgiving. I appreciate you all filling in last week while I was home, not feeling so well. And I love the way the church looks. It just looks so beautiful. I just really appreciate every bit of it. And some of it has broken a little traditions here and there, but they were traditions that were there before me, so they had nothing to do with me. They just were the way that some of the older ladies like things. So I like to see that we're doing new things. We've got new candles in the windows and a new Advent wreath. It's all pretty cool. I'm pretty excited. And I love the nativity down here in front instead of up on the table and all that. I just really love it back there. It looks more homey. Like that wood and palms. So thank you. You all did a great job. Thanks for doing it. Well, as we already acknowledged with the kids, this is the first Sunday of Advent. And the first Sunday of Advent, we talk about light. And it's probably one of my favorites because I love the concept of the light and Christ being the light. And so we have to look at John if we're going to look at any scriptures with light, because John talks about that quite a bit. So in John 1, starting from verse 1, he said it this way: in the beginning was the Word, and the Word, which was Jesus, was with God, and the Word with Jesus was God. He was with God in the beginning. Through him all things were made. Without him nothing was made that was made. In him was life, and that life was the light of all people. The light shines in the darkness, but the darkness has not understood it. So John tells us that Jesus is the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. Jesus didn't have a beginning in the manger in the stable in Bethlehem. That was not his beginning. Jesus has always been, since the beginning of time. Jesus was with us, was part of the world. But Jesus took on real flesh, a human body, in that manger in Bethlehem. He became not just the Logos, the entity that's always been part of God, but he became also flesh, just like us. It's hard to comprehend how somebody could be both God and man. It's just really, it's kind of one of those things we almost just have to believe. John 1:14 says, the word Jesus became flesh, made his dwelling place among us. We've seen his glory, the glory of the one and only, who came from the Father full of grace and truth, because Jesus is the incarnate Son of God. So how can you explain the incarnate Son of God? E. Stanley Jones, who was a missionary to India, was trying to figure out how could he tell the people in India that the love of God, of Jesus, how could he explain all of that? So he decided to think about it this way. He says, suppose a farmer was plowing a field. He came upon an anthill teeming with ants. How could the farmer warn the ants to get out of the way of the plow? There was only one way to communicate with the ants, and that was to become an ant and give them a warning in their own language. And then all who would listen would be saved. That's what God did for us. He sent Jesus to us to give us the warnings that we needed, to show us the love that God had for us, to communicate his plan of salvation. Jesus became one of us to communicate in our language and tell us about God's love. John 3:16, which you probably all can just tell me what it means, what it is. For God so loved the world, gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but to save the world through him. Whoever believes in him is not condemned, but whoever does not believe stands condemned already, because he has not believed in the name of God's one and only Son. So the Bible is really clear. John, who wrote these scriptures that we're talking about, said this: in the beginning was the Word, Jesus, and the Word. Jesus was with God, and the Word. Jesus was and is God. Jesus is the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. But he also says that he's the life and the light. Ever since the brightness of heaven flooded the hills of Bethlehem, and the far-off twinkling star guided eastern wise men to the newborn King, Christ has been the light of the world, and we have celebrated Christmas with colorful light. Pointing at the tree that's not doing anything while there it is, because we reset the lights so they kind of go off a little bit. John 1:5 says, the light shines in the darkness, but the darkness has not understood it. Another translation says, the darkness has not overcome it. That's the one that I love the best. The darkness has not overcome it. The light overcomes darkness. It's easy to understand that light overcomes darkness. Go into a dark room. You can't see anything. Turn on the light. You can see everything. It overcomes darkness. At the time of Christ's birth, the Roman government was experiencing unprecedented prosperity. But Roman officials were living in moral darkness. In the Roman society at that time, working at common labor was a disgrace. The middle class had disappeared. In the empire, there were 6 million slaves. By the time of Christ, a person of prestige, was known by the number of divorces that they had had. Children were regarded as a burden. Their education was handed over to slaves. The practice of abortions was a general custom. When we look at our American culture, these 2,000 plus years later, we can see a lot of similarities. And we need the light of Christ to shine forth in our darkness and show us the way. John 1:5, the light overcomes the darkness, and the darkness will never put it out. If we think about our own lives, we find that all of us have a similar calling as Christ's followers, to witness and testify that Jesus is the light and life. Jesus challenged his disciples and each of us to not hide the light of the good news of Jesus under cover. In other words, don't be a secret Christian. Let the light of Christ shine forth from your life. Remember, light shines gently. If we shine a light too bright, it can burn. It can bring discomfort. So we have to shine gently. We have to shine forth with good sense, time. Shine forth with kindness and gentleness, compassion and love. Then you'll be life-giving. The purpose of light is to shine. To not shine is to deny that Jesus is the Christ. Even so, your light, be it ever so small, will shine brightly in the dark world around you. Jesus was mentioned by Isaiah as he prophesied about the coming of the Messiah. That was Jesus. Isaiah 9:2. The people walking in darkness have seen a great light. On those living in the land of the shadow of death, a light has dawned. For to us a child is born. To us a son is given, and the government will be upon his shoulders. And he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. As Christ followers, you are shining forth the light of Christ through your life, your witness. Wherever you work or go, you are punching holes into darkness. As more people become Christ followers, the greater the light will become. Remember, Jesus said, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. If you feel that the light of Jesus is flickering and growing dim in your life, this Advent season, welcome Jesus to shine his truth into your heart and your life. For we find that Jesus is the true light of Christmas, the Omega and the Alpha. Jesus is light and life. Jesus is the true light that gives life to every person. My friend Scott Wagner, who's a pastor in North Carolina, says this about Advent and Quaker, being a Quaker. He said, the beautiful part of being a Quaker while also observing Advent is that we hold to the reality that Christ has come. He's just come and is present with us in our very present. While we allow Advent to slow us down and create a space for us wherein we might listen deeply and wait expectantly, we also trust that the living Christ has already come and is present in us, guiding us, comforting us, reassuring us, loving us. We're not waiting for something to happen. We're actively waiting and paying attention to what is already happening within us as the Spirit of Christ seeks to wake us up so that we might live faithfully into the kind of world God intends for us all. Walter Brueggemann says this, Advent is a time of waiting, not as passive observers, but as active participants in the unfolding of God's transformative work. May God's transformative work unfold within each of us during this Advent season. Are all hearts clear to proceed? We'll have our closing.
Stand at turn number 296.
Place. John 1 reminds us, the Word was first, the Word present to God, God present to the Word. The Word was God in readiness for God from day one. Everything was created through Him. Nothing, not one thing came into being without Him. What came into existence was light, and the light was light to live by. And the light blazed out of the darkness, and the darkness could not be. May we go in peace and love. Amen.